So you can have customers, many, like example 20, but have bought goods worth 100 each. That is only 2,000. But you can have only 4 customers, but they have bought goods worth 1,000 each. That is 4,000 shillings. This is what Lillian failed to understand. So sometimes it will reach evening when I hand over the cash. And remember, during the daytime, there are sometimes some deductions that she used to make. So sometimes she even forgets the deductions that she has made. And there were also some bills that had to be paid. So sometimes it was just arguments, saying that, accusing me that I'm a thief, I've stolen and hidden her money. Sometimes even we will end up starting to count each and every work that everyone did. I remember there is a day that we ended up on the rubbish that was on the floor to count the packets of the weaves that were on the floor, because she was saying that one was missing. But when we ended up counting, she found that she was wrong. So it was like war. There was no peace. At home, no peace. At work, nothing. Sometimes I will just go from work heading home. But when I just open my house and enter the house, I was just feeling that I just want to leave and go back to where I was, the open air, the open field, because the environment I could feel different. Again, Violet, my work colleague, another different day, she came and said that she has had a dream about me. She had dreamt that I had come to work naked, like if I was a mad person, behaving like a mad person, but I was naked. And I was just screaming. And then Nick appeared and said that I want my wife. And when he said that, he took me and together with him we entered the other room that belonged to Lillian. So not the room that I was used to, because Lillian had 2 different rooms. So Nick took me and we entered that other room and he locked the door. So outside here the children were crying. Nesta was crying and Lindsay were crying. So they had to come, Violet, because it was Violet and Pauline. They had to come and knock the door so that the door is opened and we take the kids. But when they came to knock at the door, Nick replied to them that no one should disturb him because he is making love to his wife. So Nick, Violet and Pauline had to leave. Violet went with Nesta and Pauline went with Lindsay. So Violet decided to go through the back gate. And now this back gate, there was a Amtaro, let me say Amtaro. Just the gate and direct was Amtaro. So we used mostly to jump over that Mtaro. So when Violet was going through that back gate, she could see that there was a very huge snake inside that Mtaro, and this snake was trying to follow her and Nesta. So she started screaming and running for help, but she got none. So she managed to run and flee. That snake never got hold of her and Nesta. So she went away for some time, and then she decided to come back. But when she came back, she found that snake was no more in that mtaro. And entering the salon, the room which I was locked in with Nick, it was open and we were not there. So she made effort and reached the place where I was staying in Joyland. But too, she found I was not there. And that marked the end of her dream. So this dream tormented my mind. I never understood what this dream meant. Because with my physical eye, I was just seeing that now that I got back with Nick, I put myself into a trap. Now they are going to bewitch me and make me mad. So another day, Sunday, I went to church again. And I had my second encounter. I was again shaken and thrown down. And I just fell at peace after everything. I just fell at peace after everything. I was prayed for again. But I fell at peace. Because to me, it marked my deliverance. Because now that I was with Nick, and I was in a covenant with him. So when two are together, they become one. So the same way that he was made an altar of this demonic spirit, that is the same way that they were making me to be their altar. But this day I was delivered, and I just fell at peace, like some Lord had got. I felt renewed. So after this service, I went to Pastor Priscilla and I asked her if she could help me out in the interpretation of a dream. I explained violet dreams to her, and she just laughed in a glad way and said, "This is a very good and nice dream." And she interpreted and said to me, "It means that you will be possessed by the Spirit of the Lord Almighty. You are in a journey, but you will be possessed by the Spirit of the Lord Almighty." And he said to me that when it was Nick in the spiritual world, it is symbolic. The Christ. A husband is Christ. And remember, Christ, the Father lives in Christ. So, it was not Nick, but in the spiritual realm. I'm interpreting the dream spiritually. It is just God Himself through Jesus Christ. You will be possessed by the Spirit of the Lord Almighty. The madness of the Spirit of the Lord Almighty. It will be in you. You will be mad with the Spirit of the Lord Almighty. And then she went further and said that the fact that Nick took you and entered into a room and you made love, and that room was locked. She said to me, and you'll enter into a covenant with God. You'll be entered and given room, a heir in the house of the Lord Almighty. And then she added and said that the interpretation of Violet being chased with a snake when she was having Nesta. She said that this means that you will be in the end separated from them, and all their witchcraft, all the things that they have been doing, they will be returned back to them, and they will look for you and they will never find you. So she interpreted that dream for me, and at least I felt at peace. So I felt at peace, and I knew that I am on another journey, and what I am doing, it is just Lord Himself in control. So I felt at peace with the interpretation of that dream, and it gave me another new hope. And in fact, I just went again to Gideon and asked him why he said that I am his rib, because he repeated that statement the second time, telling me that I am his rib. So I asked him, why do you say that I am your rib? And in fact, I knew you back in the years as my customer in 2016. Here we are, we have met again. You don't know me much and I don't know you much. We are just familiar because you are my customer and we have just become friends. Everybody has his or her own life. And he said that when he tells me why I am his rib, I'll be proud a lot. So he won't tell me the reason why he says that I am his rib. And he added on and said that it is not the first time that he has met me, or that 2016, the first time that he has met me. He confessed that for a long time he has been looking for me, and he knew me before that 2016. So I just wondered, I was just flashbacking any time that I ever met him. There is no event or any happening that made me cross path with Gideon. So he said something, how he knew me before. He told me that in 2008, while my sister Lynette was in Kakamega, the place where she was living, I one time visited Lynette. That time Lynette was pregnant with her firstborn daughter Jenna. He said that the time I visited Lynette and I just slept over one day is the time that he knew me. And he even said that the dad to Lynette's firstborn daughter is Felix Musonye. And I said, it is true, you are not lying. And he said Felix Musonye was my friend and is still my friend. And he added and said that, remember that place they used to sell honey, and it is very true. Felix was there and there was the honey business going on. So I asked him and said, but I never saw you around him, even your face. The only person that I knew, it was just Felix. I saw him and there was another guy. And I told him, but I remember that place where Lynette was staying. There was a neighbor, but this house was locked all through. I never knew who that person was living there. Then he confessed and said he was that neighbor. So as much as I was there, because I never moved, I just stayed mostly in-house, going out. But I never saw this neighbor. But Gideon said he was that neighbor. But before he even talked or had a chat with me, I had already disappeared and gone. So the next time that he met me again was in 2016. And there already I had my firstborn daughter, Lindsay. So he was not able to speak and say, because he wanted to say, but again I had shifted. He just came one day and he was told that we had already shifted. So this was the third time that we have crossed paths with him again at Ndenga's place. And now here he was saying that I will not escape from him because I am his slave. So when he said that, I knew that he was saying truth, because I just felt at peace. And when you look at Gideon, you'll get the impression that he is a lifeist. Let me say that, like a bad boy, a lifeist. But the more I got close to him, speaking to him, airing myself out, there was something in Gideon that was just hidden, that many could not see. He has the word in him. He is a preacher. In fact, when I met him, I was just in a depression. But when I used to talk to him, I just felt calm. He used to talk to me and even preach the word to me. And one day I remember he lectured me for about 30 minutes, preaching the word to me. And at the end, he said to me that you are about to receive your miracle. You are about to receive your miracle, but you are staying hard-headed. You are making yourself having a stone heart because your miracle is just about to happen. And another thing, he said that you have been at the peak of a mountain na uko unateremshwa. You are coming down that mountain, but you are coming down, it is slowly by slowly, because when it is fast, you will fall. So it is coming slowly by slowly, but you are coming down the mountain. So he said that you have little faith. All that I can tell you now, raise the level of your faith and have your miracle. So I just told him thank you and I went away. But each time with everything that I did, I was just remembering his words. He is a member of SCK. And he confessed to me that they usually go for seminars, ministry, preaching. And he gave me an example that you find you go somewhere for ministry. Somebody has complained, then you begin the intercession and prayer. The prayer begins. People are praying. Somebody is about to receive his miracle. But again, you get that person is distracted either by a phone ring or something else. He is about to receive the miracle, but at that moment, he focuses on something else, and the blessing ends up passing that person, it goes to another one. So he was just telling me that to raise the standard of my faith and eventually receive my miracle. So at least I had some peace. So in that process, in praying and praying and praying, one day Nick it was at night. He slept, and in the morning he woke up and told me that he had had a dream. And this dream was that he was having stomach pains, very severe stomach pains. And another thing, mostly Nick, he will just eat, go to the toilet mostly, and then he will mostly complain also of stomach pains, and sometimes his teeth. He will feel a lot of pain, even fail to eat. So these things happened. But now in this dream, he was having stomach pains. And then he could see on his cord, kitovu chake, there was an animal that had rested on that part of his kitovu, the cord. So on seeing that animal, it looked like a cat. On seeing that animal, he extended his hand to untouch the cat and lifted it up so that it will get off from his stomach, that place of the cord. So as he lifted that cat away from his skin at the cord, your part ya kitovu, he then saw that the face of this animal, it wasn't a cat, but it was a different animal. It looked like a wild animal, like a leopard, the members of the cat family. We have the leopard, we have the cheetah that almost resemble the cat. So it was the face of another wild animal, and more so. So as he lifted that animal away from his cord, the animal refused to let go of him because it now made the claws stick to the skin, so that when he lifts it, the skin also is being lifted up. So it refused to let go of him. And beneath that animal, there were two other small animals. So as he told me this dream, I knew this was the bone of grave that God had revealed to him. So I asked him to go to Pastor Priscilla and Alex and tell them of the dream that he had, so that eventually they will pray for him, because I knew he will finally be told the truth about himself and he will get more deliverance. But this never happened. I stayed for some time and asked him if he visited Pastor Alex and Priscilla, but he never did. So during again the period that I was working at Lillian's No One But You salon, again Nick's father decided to buy for Nick a tuk-tuk so that he will have something to rely on. And at this same moment, my mother decided to open an M-Pesa business that I used to run it at Lillian's No One But You salon under the care of Lynette. So when this tuk-tuk was bought and given to Nick, it was not brand new but a second-hand tuk-tuk. I advised Nick that first he should dedicate it to the church. it be prayed for Emmanuel Jesus Power Ministry. And he agreed. That day, he carried us to the church for the dedication of the tuk-tuk. So, during the service, Nick didn't sit at the service for long. He sat just for a little time. And I saw that he started making advances, asking me, hammalizi, hii service haishi. So he was bothering me, asking that why is the service not coming to an end, as if he wanted to go. It was not the best place for him. He was not okay. So it reached a point I just had to ignore him. And when I ignored him, later I decided to check, because he sat at the back and I could no longer see him in the church. So I wondered where he had gone. So next, Pastor Alex reached me and asked me, where is Nick, so that we pray for him and the tuk-tuk. Because I remember this same day, even Lynette talked and said to Nick that he must return to God. He must hold fast the word of God, the church, so that he may be able to be free and live a peaceful life. I remember Lynette talked and said this on the altar. So when I went outside, I found Nick. He was sleeping under a tree on the shade. And when I asked him what was wrong, he said that his teeth are the cause. He's in pain because of his teeth. So I went back and explained everything to Pastor Alex and Priscilla, and they said that is a demonic torment, because of the altars in him, the demonic spirits in him. They can't allow him to just sit in the church, especially a spiritual church that is anointed, because they are being overpowered. They are not in peace. So through that pain on his teeth, a demonic torment, because it is those evil spirits in him that are just scratching that part to make that pain, so that he moves away from the church, and he eventually goes out and sleeps outside where it is not an altar. So I was made to understand that way. So we have demonic sicknesses again. When someone is at much pain, cancer is a demonic sickness. It is just those demonic spirits scratching, itching, so that one has no peace. They do that to torment someone so that they may be able to achieve their purpose and target. So that was the case of Nick. But he was prayed for, the tuk-tuk dedicated, and in the evening we headed home. So after we headed home, again one Sunday, Nick never reported to church, but he managed in the evening. He was the one who ferried us from Malava to Kakamega in Joyland. But that marked the last time. He never continued going to church. In fact, now again, what I saw in that tuk-tuk, he bought the photos, the charts, the pictures of some great musicians, some half naked, and put them in that tuk-tuk.